Welcome to History Landing. Are you struggling in your US, world, or any kind of history classes that you are in right now? So I'm here to help you. So please stay tuned and now hit that subscribe button. Alright, now let's get right into our topic today. As you have seen in the title of this video, today I will discuss with you about the difference between ancient Egypt and the modern Egypt that you see nowadays. First of all, what do you know about ancient Egypt? Is it the historical pyramid, the famous pharaoh, which are considered some of the most historically unique representations of the civilizations? But today, I want to discuss with you about two other famous and important aspects of life that have been developed from the earliest day in the ancient Egypt until now in the modern Egypt, which are the government and education. First of all, we have to look at some basic informations about ancient Egypt at first. So ancient Egypt have lasted for over 30 centuries from 3100 BC to 332 BC. This civilization was among the most sophisticated civilizations in Mediterranean world, with critical developments in art, architectures, literature, and religion. It was mostly known for the old pyramids, monuments, artifacts, or the study of Egyptology. The type of government here is monarchy, with the ruler is the king or the pharaoh. He has the powers over the whole countries, including decree law, controlling projects. Pharaoh was the supreme leader not only of the government, but also of the religion. He was believed to have an intermediary between human beings and the divine, and was supposed to represent the God's will through the law passage and policy approved. Under king, there were different positions with the purpose to help him to manage the country, including the advisors as second-in-hand command, government officers, scribes, regional governors, or majors of the town. Here's the pictures of the pyramids, which show a system in ancient Egypt, with the pharaoh or the king being on the top, and all the way down to the bottom was slave. In this pyramid, there was one particular jobs or one particular type of people that have a huge influence on the educations of this ancient time as a whole, which is called the priest. The priest was the powerful intellectual elites who also served as the political bulwarks in the civilizations. Their duty is to teach his students to learn how to write, to read, and to understand about the world around them. Students here are privileged boys who come from the wealthy family. At the age of 5 to 16, they will enter writing school for practices writing and reading. From 17, they will enter college for priesthood training. Different subjects including humanity, practical subjects like science, medicine, mathematics, and also architectures, engineering, sculptures, or ceremonial dance. Students in ancient Egypt was taught with the idea of uniformity, working together to build a successful country. In addition, they were strictly taught with many harsh disciplines in order to stay in the right track. Deviations from traditional patterns of thought were strictly prohibited here, and students were all taught to become either scribes or priests, depends on their intellectual level. but being a priest in the society was the ultimate goal. So, how does life in ancient Egypt is different from the modern Egypt, with the populations of approximately 100 million people in 2019? Well, the difference can vary. Now let's look at the government of the modern Egypt nowadays that you are seeing. Here is the president Abdel Fattah, the current president of the country Egypt. This country have a government type which is republicanism, with the ruler being the most powerful person is the president, who get re-elected every 6 years. He has the power to supervise the formulations of laws, policy, and in charge of the military force. The president must be Egyptian born and cannot be married to a non-Egyptian and have to be over 40 Georgian years to be eligible to run for this position. Along with the president, there is a legislative branch with a purpose to balance the power of the president and the parliament. There are two smaller groups, including the House of Representatives and the Consultative Council. Political parties are allowed to exist in Egypt. As of 2015, there are over 100 parties, with the large parties like the Free Egyptian Party, the Conference Party, or the New Wealth Party. So what about in education? So in charge of education in modern Egypt is the Ministry of Education. They are in charge of all educational activities and proposals, including verifying textbooks for students, building public school, or create exams. Within the Ministry of Education, a higher council for childhood supervises and coordinates preschool education with other concerned authorities. Education in modern Egypt is hugely influenced by British and Islamic cultures due to the history and the world of the countries itself. There are two different kinds of school which students can choose to attend here in Egypt, which is first public school with a free tuition fee, and another kind which is private school, and they are relatively much more expensive than public school. The attendance rates here in 2016 to 17 was 90% of the total K-12 students populations attended public schools, and 94% of total of them attended public universities. The gender ratio is 48 in female and 52 in male. There are three different stages in the modern Egypt education. First, the basics education stage, which is the from 4 to 14 years old. There are no periods in the preschool day, and the days are filled with activities and experience to help children to develop their spiritual, moral, and physical intellectuals. Students in primary schools are focused on physical, social, moral, and emotional development, as well as knowledges and technical skills needed for a successful practical life. After attending what they call the primary school, they will enter the secondary school stage from 14 to 17. Students here are all studied to earn the basic education completion certificate or the certificate in vocational basic education through an exam at the end of the secondary school. This certificate acts as a proof for students to be enrolled in university. the last stage, the university, for students above 19 years old. This is the stage where students attend advanced classes in whatever major students choose to study in. University requires students to have a much deeper understanding in the technical aspect of their study field in order to apply in real life after graduation. Students in modern Egypt are now be able to choose their own pathway or their own favorite study field rather than sticking with the goal of being scribe or priest like in ancient society. The idea of deviations from traditional pattern of thought is still being taught at school, but with a different approach. Sexism is still appealing here, sadly, but boys are still preferred over girls, which can be a little bit influenced by the thinkings of people in ancient Egypt. Students still have to follow a relatively harsh disciplines in order to achieve in institutions, and all students here are taught about Egypt as a peaceful and victorious country which was the land of gods once upon a time. So now let's look back in conclusions. How is ancient education is different from the modern world? So first we have to look at the technologies. Technology play a key role in the educations. Education in ancient Egypt was primitive due to the lack of technologies. Students did not have a proper school to study, um, and the attendance rate here was much lower because only wealthy kids can attend school, and sexism was still very appealing in the society. On the other hand, uh, in modern educations in Egypt, the educations are now more sophisticated with different stages, Ministry of Education's exam, etc. And advances in technology and critical inventions give students a better experience at school. There's much higher attendance rate for both boys and girls. All students have their own opportunity to attend school, and they are not limited to only few options and have the right to choose their own pathway rather than sticking with being scribe or priest in ancient time. About the government, they also have evolved uh, significantly from ancient time until now, with the most obvious improvement in the sophisticated system are now having different branches to support the leaders in order to make the countries much more successful. And the political ideas is much more appealing in the modern time. So that's it for me today. Thank you for listening. And if you like this video and think that you have learned something valuable from it, please hit that like and subscribe button below as a motivation for me to publish more video on this YouTube channel. Again, thank you.